The Great War of World War I was supposed to be the war to end all wars, but World War II showed that to be incorrect. There are two main causes of World War II: aggression and appeasement. First, there were the aggressive acts of Germany, Italy, and Japan. Germany and Italy were ruled by fascist dictators. Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party controlled Germany, and Italy was ruled by the fascist party of Benito Mussolini. Japan had been quietly creating an empire in East Asia under Prime Minister Hideki Tojo. Italy invaded Ethiopia, and the League of Nations did nothing. Japan invaded Korea, then Manchuria, part of China, and the League of Nations did nothing. Hitler wanted to unite all German-speaking people and have living space, Lebensraum, so he took Austria and then the Sudetenland. The League of Nations told Hitler not to take another inch of land after they thought they appeased him by giving him all of Czechoslovakia. No surprise, he didn't listen and then invaded Poland. The invasion of Poland in September of 1939 is the official start of the war. Italy, Germany, and Japan united as the Axis powers. Great Britain and France quickly started the Allied powers. France joined the war, followed by Britain, which was led by Churchill, and then later the Allies were joined by the Soviet Union, led by Joseph Stalin, and the United States, led by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and at the end of the war, President Harry Truman. But they couldn't stop Hitler as he quickly took the Netherlands, Belgium, and then France using lightning warfare, blitzkrieg. The Soviet Union under Stalin had made a secret deal with Hitler to share Poland and stay out of the war until Hitler went back on his promise and invaded the USSR. They then joined the Allies. The Battle of Dunkirk saw British ships ferrying French soldiers across the English Channel, as now most of Europe was under Axis control. Hitler now set his sights on Great Britain. The Germans bombed Britain, targeting London, known as the London Blitz, for 57 straight nights, but Britain withstood. Hitler underestimated the British just as the Japanese would soon underestimate the Americans. Then Hitler turned to the Soviet Union. Meanwhile, America was glad there was an ocean separating them from the chaos of Europe, though they had been sending supplies to the Allies. Japan changed America's isolationist policy with the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. America declared war on Japan and started fighting in the Pacific. The Battle of Midway in June of 1942 was the first Allied victory of the war, giving Allies hope for the first time. The Battle of Stalingrad saw massive losses for the Germans, and especially the Russians, but they prevailed for another major Allied victory. But the Allies had to get France back to push towards Germany. The D-Day invasion was planned by General Eisenhower, who was the supreme Allied commander. This water invasion at the beaches of Normandy on June 6, 1944, changed everything. The Allies were successful, and now it was only a matter of time before they defeated Germany. Victory in Europe came in May of 1945, but Japan didn't surrender until America was forced to use a terrible new weapon, the atomic bomb. After the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Japanese finally surrendered in September. World War II showed the cruelty of man and the horrors he was capable of, specifically the Holocaust. As part of Hitler's final solution, he tried to wipe out the Jews. 12 million died in the Holocaust, 6 million of which were Jews. They were put in concentration camps and they were treated like animals, dying horribly. At the end of World War II, much of Europe needed to be rebuilt. Trials were held for war criminals and two superpowers emerged, the United States and the Soviet Union. An iron curtain was drawn across Europe and a new type of war was on the horizon.